There you go. So we are in Teres, today is Sunday, Chav Gimel Shvat Tovshin Ayin Gimel. We are in Teres Menachem Sefer HaMamarim Tovshin Yud Aleph Tovshin Yud Beis on page Ayin, in middle of the Mamar of Shabbos Pashas Achrei Vorchem HaChodesh Erev Rosh Chodesh Iyar Tovshin Yud Aleph Dibur HaMaschil Vayomer Yehonoson. We are we're learning here about Mashiach and the fact that Mashiach will introduce the idea of tshuva also to tzaddikim. Mashiach also la'asov tzadikaya b'tiyufta. And the question that we're addressing is, if we're talking about real, genuine tzaddikim who have transformed their nefesh abamis completely to the ra, completely to toiv, what could possibly Mashiach introduce into these tzaddikim? To explain that, the Rebbe explained, so in other words, a tzaddik, before we get into that, a tzaddik is someone, unlike a Benini, who's only involved in the process of iskafia, bending the negative, subjugating the negative to the positive. A tzaddik transforms the negative to the positive. The Rebbe explained that in transformation there are two levels. There's transformation that takes place as a result of the overwhelming revelation of the light, of the good, of the positive energy. And then there is transformation from within the negative itself. And as a mashal for that, or rather, as another description of that, the Rebbe explained that this was the idea of Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem telling Moshe Rabbeinu to throw a tree, a branch, a piece of wood, into the bitter waters, the Mei Hamorim, in Mora, when they couldn't drink it. So he brought a machlekes of the Zohar and the Medrash, what type of tree it was. According to the Zohar, it was the Eitz HaChaim. And according to the Medrash, it was a bitter tree. What's the idea of the bitter tree? To reveal the bitterness of the water within itself, and through that process to transform the water into positive. And this is what we're fleshing out at the moment. And the Rebbe began in Hay to explain this in Avodas Adam, what it means in Hashem, in a person serving a person's service to Hashem. And he explained that the neshama has two levels. There's the level of the neshama as it stands before Hashem, before it comes down into this world, into a guf, into a body, and the nefesh habamis. And then there is the neshama as it is clothed in a guf, in a body, and the nefesh habamis, the animal soul. The reality of the neshama, when it is before Hashem, is only godliness. It knows only God and godliness. It perceives godliness, it loves godliness, it fears godliness. That's all it knows. It knows nothing else. When it comes down into a guf and into a nefesh habamis, into the body and the animal soul, it suddenly is introduced to a new set of realities. Gashmius, chumrius, things that conceal ungodliness, physical matters, materialism, and so on and so forth. Now, the Rebbe explained, so in other words, the toiv, good, is signified in the idea of light, oir, and the negative, the ra, is signified in the concept of what? Cheshech, darkness. And the Rebbe explained that in darkness there are two components. There's darkness as the absence of light, and then there's darkness as an entity and a creature in its own right, something that was created. In the guf, this is most pronounced, because as we know, as it says in Chumash, in Bereshis, that the guf was created separate from the neshama. The body was created separate of the soul. The soul conceals the neshama, is the darkness of the soul. The guf is the darkness of the body, is the darkness of the soul. So it's not merely that the body is something which is the absence of a soul, so to speak. The body is an entity in its own right. Hashem formed a body, and then he blew into the body, into its nostrils, a soul of life. So you have these two components. You have the idea of cheshech, darkness, being the absence of light, and conversely, light being the absence of darkness. And then you have the idea of darkness as it is an entity in its own right, which means that in its source, it has a separate source, Lamaila, above, and it's a separate entity. And in fact, in its source, it's even higher than light. And the word that Rebbe threw in is that the the source of the body is from the Rishimu, from the impression that was left in the Tzimtzum when Hashem removed His infinite light. The Rishimu, as we discussed quite at length, is the idea of Hashem's power to conceal. And in fact, we also discussed that in the Rishimu is expressed more of Hashem's very essence than in the Eir. Okay? Why? Because Eir is Gilui. I just want to throw in one word which will maybe make it a little even more crystallized. When you say revelation, Eir, at every stage of Eir, when you will reach one level of Eir, what's the idea of Eir is Gilui. The idea of Eir is to reveal. To reveal what? That which is higher than it. Right? Eir indicates that there's something that is beyond it. So at every level of Eir, you will always, in that experience, know and feel that there is something beyond it. At every level. Right? Until, of course, you come to where? If we're talking about Atzmos, the very essence of Hashem, the very essence of Hashem is not, His idea is not to reveal, it's not Gilui. It's the essence of Hashem. The essence of Hashem is beyond everything. Beyond Gilui, beyond Elam, beyond everything. So there's nothing that will indicate it's revealing something else. It's Him. That's it. It's Atzmos, the very essence of Hashem. So therefore, Rishimu, Helim, the power to conceal, is something which expresses this idea, that there is nothing to reveal. The guf, when you talk about Cheshech, or you talk about the Yesh HaNivra, creation as we know it in its coarsest, most defined Yeshes. Of course, in the negative sense. But when you look at it, what do you see? On the surface, it doesn't look, you wouldn't necessarily say, it indicates that there's something beyond it, that it's revealing something beyond it. You need to delve into that, and you need to learn Chassidus, right? And then you come to the conclusion as was, that there's a creator. But it's not obviously revealing that which is beyond it. So in other words, the Yesh HaNivra, the Yesh in its coarsest sense, in a sense reveals what? The Yesh HaMiti. Embedded within that is the Yesh HaMiti. The idea is, and that's what the Rebbe is discussing over here, is to take away the negativity of the Yesh HaNivra and to leave only the positivity of the Yesh HaNivra. In other words, how the Yesh HaNivra, the created Yesh, expresses the ultimate Yesh, Hashem Himself. So therefore, in a sense, this is also in a sense when we say that Rishimu expresses more of the Etzem of Hashem, rather than Eir, because Rishimu is, again, it's the power to conceal, just like the very essence of Hashem is something which doesn't reveal anything else. And that manifests itself ultimately in the Yesh HaNivra, of course, in a very coarse and negative way, where it says, there is Chas v'Chalila, no God, and the idea is to reveal that is the essence of Hashem.
So this is like the second concept of darkness, where beforehand we saw darkness is the absence of
Correct.
God. But this is the darkness
Correct.
of entity on its
Correct. And that's why when we talk about the Gilui of Atzmus, what does it mean, Gilui of Atzmus? Atzmus is not an idea of revelation, but it means when Atzmus becomes present, it's dark. Yoshes Cheshech Sisrei, that's what it means. Okay.
Is there any connection with the darkness at the beginning of creation and the darkness?
Absolutely.
The two different kinds of darkness.
Well, precisely. The Cheshech al Pnei Sahim, you were talking, if you look at the first day of creation, there was no Bria yet, and there was darkness.
So
And then there was,
darkness is there?
and then there is,
the first one. It's not this one, it's before.
and then there is the darkness as it is connected to the idea of light. Vihine. Page Ayin, the paragraph at the top. Vihine. So we're talking about two concepts, two components in darkness. Vihine, bebeis, inyonei cheshech hanal. In the two, and bear in mind that the Rebbe over here is discussing these ideas in Avodah, and how it applies to the person's service in Hashem, to try to identify these ideas of darkness within ourselves and what they mean in our service of Hashem. The two above mentioned components in darkness, one needs to have the service, one needs to serve Hashem through iskafia, through bending the darkness, the service of Hashem of transforming the darkness. What's the difference between, how does one, what's the difference between, how does one bend the darkness and how does one transform the darkness? What method, what process does one employ in order to achieve this? So he says like this, The serving Hashem through iskafia, bending the negative, that means serving Hashem through tam vadas, through logic, through understanding. It's something that we relate to in a direct way. V'hainu, he explains it. Through the the multitude of ways of contemplation or meditation that are explained in Sfarim, in the holy books, and particularly in the books of Chassidus, where it talks about all these things that cause the ra to be bent, the negative to be bent. We affect the negative, that it becomes nullified and subjugated to the good. So in other words, the point being that iskafia is through employing tam vadas, logic. You explain, you contemplate, you realize, you recognize, and that affects the negative, that it should be bent. But serving Hashem through ishapcha, through transformation, it's in a method, it's in a mode, you employ a method that you don't enter into any discussions whatsoever. There's no discussions, no debates. And in the famous expression, use the famous expression of my father-in-law, the Friedrich Rebbe, in the name of the Alter Rebbe, Aid nit vil und nit erken sein nifrad melakus. A Yid, a Jew neither wants nor is able to be separated from godliness. In other words, what are we talking about? This is beyond logic. There's no. That's the way it is. It's beyond everything. So generally, how is this accomplished? How is the idea of ishapcha accomplished? When you say a Jew that he wants is not neither able nor willing nor able to be separated from Hashem, how does that become manifest in a person's life? How does one access that in order to effect transformation? Generally, this is as a result of the abilities and the powers that is given to the person from above. Abilities that the Rebbe gives. If you remember, we learned in the previous Mamar about Das and so on and so forth. Moshe Rabbeinu introduces Das into Neshamas. You remember in Bela Mishpatim. So this idea of tapping into that reservoir, those abilities, that strength, that power, that level which affects transformation, that comes from above. Powers, abilities that the Rebbe gives to the person. This is not as a result of something that the person has acquired himself through great toil, through working with himself. But it's keiches, it's abilities that the Rebbe gives him. And as a result of these abilities that are granted to the person, the person doesn't enter into any debates at all with the negative. Right? So that's one mode of tapping into to abilities that affect transformation. But then there's even a higher level of iskafia. Of isapcha. There's even a higher level of affecting transformation. In the first method that we just explained in the transformation, is it because of the person? No. It's something which is granted to him from above, from outside of him. But then there is a higher level of transformation. That comes as a result of the revelation, of revealing the essential concealment. Helam ha'atzmi. Helam ha'atzmi is a reference to what? To Atzmus, the very essence of Hashem, which is embedded within the concealment of the very essence of the concealment of the Ra, of the negative. Right? It's like throwing the bitter stick into the bitter waters to cause what? The waters to recognize, so to speak, its bitterness and decide asatagnisht. The Rebbe fleshes it out. This idea of the revelation of the essential concealment is completely beyond any understanding at all. We have no understanding and comprehension in this. No recognition and feeling in this. Is not in an internal way, not in a hovering, surrounding way. So what is it? But rather as a result of the neshama cleaving in the very essence of Hashem, God's infinite essence. From that perspective of the neshama, from that level of the soul, nothing is hindered from the soul. Nothing is held back. And the neshama is also granted what? The revelation of the essential concealment. That cannot be drawn down through any of the abilities of the soul, whether they are internal abilities or hovering and surrounding abilities. In other words, it's the abilities of the soul, koiches and nefesh we're talking about, the revelation, the revealed dimensions of the soul. We can't take this level with the revealed dimensions of the soul. This is a level that we reach through tapping, through the very essence of the soul, connecting with the very essence of Hashem. So how does this become expressed? How does this manifest itself? This comes to expression, this comes out, this expresses itself how? In the feeling that it's bad and it's bitter, the fact that you've left Hashem your God. I think over here this is supposed to be She'ein, there's a Yud missing here. Which means that even though he has no knowledge at all in Havaya Lekecha, in godliness of God, and he has no knowledge of in matters of holiness. Nonetheless, he still feels that it's bad and bitter to leave Hashem your God. That's number one. Even more so, he's not even aware, he has no knowledge why it's bad and why it's bitter. Nonetheless, he feels that this is what? It's bad and it's bitter. And he feels he feels that this is so essentially connected to his soul in this world and in the world to come. And it's not possible to continue like this. And therefore it's imperative that he should be in a mode of leaving this situation, his current situation, although he has no idea what it means to become close to there, meaning he doesn't know where he wants to arrive to and for what purpose. He knows because it's impossible to continue in the present state. And it's specifically in this type of serving Hashem that we reveal the essential essence, the very essence of Hashem. Because in this way, of serving Hashem, the body itself is transformed to good. The reason for the person being transformed to good, it's not because of a revelation of light at any level. It's because of the guf itself. It's because of the helen itself, because of the concealment itself. This idea comes as what? As a result of what? Mitzad ha'helam ha'atzmi. Because of the revelation of the essential concealment. In other words, the awareness, the coming into being, the coming into a state of consciousness of what? State of consciousness of what? Of Hashem's very essence, which comes present, as we said, in a concealed way. Because the revelation of the true Yesh, which is who? Hashem's very essence, who is the real, ultimate, only Yesh, the only true, real existence. Why? Because everything else, as mentioned before, even Oyed at the highest level, is a revelation of something above it. So where is the real Yesh? Who truly exists in his own right? Only Hashem's very essence. So a person, so where is that revealed? That idea of the Yesh HaMiti is revealed dafke where? Specifically in the Yesh HaNivra. In the lowest Yesh. So as it is in creation, before serving Hashem, what does the Yesh HaNivra express? The created Yesh, what does he express? I exist and nothing else. But through the process of what the Rebbe just described, that he feels asateiganish, what do you mean I'm a Yesh? And he feels that he has to leave. So what happens? He doesn't become Uyis Yesh. He doesn't stop existing. What's cut away is that those aspects of his Yesh that make him feel as if he is a Yesh in his own right. And what is revealed is that he really and truly he is what? An expression of the Yesh HaMiti. An expression of the essential and true Yesh of Hashem. A little further. Chapter Vov, on top of page Ayin Aleph. And now we will come to understand Inyan Mashiach Asala Sovet Tzadikai B'ti Yufta. The fact that Mashiach is coming to return even tzaddikim with tshuva. He's introducing the idea of tshuva even in tzaddikim. What is the innovation? What's going to happen when Mashiach comes that didn't happen before? It is that the yesh itself will be transformed to good. Exactly what we're discussing now. That what? That the yeshes of the world will express what? The yeshes of Hashem. All those negative things that, as we know them now, the negativity will be cut away, and in them will be expressed what? The very essence of Hashem. It'll be transformed to good, and it'll be transformed to the good, from its own perspective, rather than as a result of what? Of a revelation that comes from above and overwhelms it and transforms it. This is also the plus, the special quality that will be manifest in the revelation of Mashiach over and above the revelation that took place at the splitting of the Red Sea. Right? Why? We're talking about transforming darkness into light. What happened when the Yidden crossed the sea? For although when the Jews crossed the sea, they also experienced the transformation of darkness to light. The darkness itself shined, as it says in the Pasuk, as the Torah says in Pashas B'Shalach, which we read, not this Shabbos, but the Shabbos we just read it. It says in the Pasuk, there was the cloud and the darkness, and it illuminated the light, and illuminated the night. So we see that it was what? The transformation of the darkness into light, that it was light at night as well. Nonetheless, this was as a result of what? As a result of a great revelation of light. And that caused the darkness also to be light. So it wasn't from the perspective of the darkness itself.
Is this why the Jews could see the positions of the Egyptians?
Correct. It even manifests itself in the physical sense, of course. As we say in the Haggadah, that what happened when Hashem took them out of Egypt? The King of Kings, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, revealed himself to them. What is the, and we say in the Haggadah, Ani v'lei malach, I and not an angel, Ani v'lei shaliach, and so on and so forth. Ani hu v'lei achad, I myself and no one else. So what does it mean? At that time, there was a tremendous revelation of a great great revelation. This revelation caused the darkness to be illuminated. That happened when the Jews left Egypt. When they left Egypt, it says that the light caused the darkness to it shined in the night as well, and the night became light. But that was as a result of what? Vayomer. Something outside of it that shined into the darkness. When Mashiach comes, it says the night will shine like day. What does that mean? Hainu? For although night is what? Darkness, it's dark at night. It will shine like the day. It'll be as bright as the day from the darkness itself. What does that mean? This is the revelation of the Yesh, in the Yesh HaNivra, in the created Yesh, who on his own conceals godliness. As it's created, it conceals godliness. It's dark, it's night. So the disconnect of the Yesh HaNivra, which is the perceived disconnect between the created Yesh and Hashem, will be taken away. And what will be revealed? That the Yeshes of the Yesh HaNivra, of the created Yesh, is really what? Truly, and what? A direct manifestation of what? Of the Yesh HaMiti. That means that the darkness itself becomes light. This can only take place by the revelation of what? Not any level of light of Oir. No, it has to go beyond that. That happens through what? The revelation of the Yesh HaMiti. The true Yesh. The Helam Atzmi. The essential concealment. This is the special quality that will take place when Mashiach will come. Which was not there but at the splitting of the sea. It was merely the revelation of the Ayin of the Yesh HaMiti. This up. In another couple of minutes I'll try to explain this. We learned, if you remember, about Das Elin and about Das Tachten, that there are two perspectives, right? One perspective is our perspective, and the other perspective is how the perspective is from above. Our perspective is Lamata Yesh Ulamayla Ayin, that where is the Yesh? We exist, and our source relative to us is Ayin. It's not comprehensible, not perceivable. Milmayla, the perspective from above, is Lamayla Yesh. as we just said, the Yesh Amiti. The true Yesh is above, and the Ayin is Lamata. And what is below is insignificant. Now, in each one of them, you have a Yesh and you have an Ayin. So the fact that the Yesh from the perspective of the one above is different than the Yesh from the perspective of the one below. Because the Yesh from the perspective of the one above refers to what? God's essential existence. The Yesh, as it's from the perspective from below, refers to the Bria, to the Yesh, the created Yesh. What about the Ayin? So when we say Lamata Yesh Ulamayla Ayin, and when above they say Lamayla Yesh Ulamata Ayin, are they both referring to the same Ayin? The answer is no. Not only is the Yesh a different one, the Ayin is also a different one. Why? Because the Yesh, what's the first Ayin? When you say it's insignificant, that whatever comes outside of Hashem is insignificant, what are we talking about? We're talking about us? No, you're even talking about the very highest level of Eir, of revelation. Even the Eir HaKol Batzmusay, even the level of godliness, the first revelation of God, the first revelation of Eir, as it is included within himself, within Hashem's very essence, is also Ayin. When we say Lamayla Ayin, we're talking about our source. So we could be referring to Kav or lower. We don't even, the Ayin is already where, the Ayin relative to the Yesh, from our perspective, we don't have to go as far as what? The essential light as it is incorporated, included within Hashem himself. Even lower than that. Malchus Datzilis, for example, is also Ayin relative to what? To the Yesh HaNivra. So we're talking about a different Ayin. So when we say that Kriyas Yamsuf, there was revelation from above, what was it? It was the revelation of the Ayin of the Yesh HaAmiti. What was revealed at Kriyas Yamsuf? Not the very essence of Hashem. Maybe Eir HaKol Batzmusay, the highest levels of Eir, of revelations. But they didn't get so far as what? As the Yesh HaAmiti. They got so far as the Ayin of the Yesh HaAmiti. That's the phrase that I'm saying here. Okay. We're going to have to stop here because we're going to get lost. But this is the Nikudah so far.